Hi guys, and welcome back to Crafty Quilting Designs. I hope you're well and you're having a really great day. Well, as you can see, I'm actually outside and I just looked around at my neighbors to see if they're actually staring at me doing this video. But nevertheless, here we are. So today, and that is Carl actually texting me. Can you believe it? He's away for a few hours and he just can't leave me alone. You know, honestly. Anyway, we're gonna ignore the text, not respond to it, and then we're gonna move on. All right, so today we are going to be making a Stix quilt. Now I have made a bricks quilt before and I would link it up there. It has been one of the most popular ones on my YouTube channel. I think over 4,000 plus views, and it was well received. In fact, that was the quilt I actually give away when I reached my first 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, so check that video out and you will see exactly what it entails in making a bricks quilt. Now today we're going to do a Stix quilt. It's quite similar, but we are going to be using 2.5 strips. Now I would link a pattern, a free one of course, in the description box down below, and then you can click that and it will take you direct to my blog where you can actually copy and paste the pattern down below. Now while you're over there, feel free, you think you would just leave it and then not respond and just leave it. While you're over there to my free blog, feel free to check it out and see whatever other free patterns that you can help yourself to. It's there for your convenience and for you to make use of. All right, so without further ado, let me take you through how to make this Stix quilt. It's a very modern take on a scrappy quilt, and as I said, we'll be using 2.5 strips of fabric as well as 2.5 by 5 if my memory serves me correct, because I have to work it all out in my brain before I actually give it to you. And usually, I don't know if you noticed, and I think I may have told you before, is once I have actually started the quilt, many occasions I don't know where I'm going with it. So a lot of my quilts are very much improv, you know, unless I have pre-planned. If it's like a quilt along, I will pre-plan that, but the ones that I do for the scrappy quilting and all the others that has no connection to any other quilts, they are very much on the go as I actually make them. And so I write the pattern either once the video is completed, or as I go I just scribble things down so that I can actually remember it. So make use of my free patterns, they are there for you, and check my blog out, and of course send me a message and let me know what you actually think of the quilt. Now you're going to be needing some background fabric, and I have used white for this one here. I haven't got much left, so you probably will need and I use the word probably again because I haven't really sorted out exactly what sort of size quilt I am making. I usually go for a throw size, to be honest, and since I've been in the caravan it's been lots of lap size, but a lot of them has been sort of edging on the presence of a throw size quilt. So you're going to need some background fabric, and I'm going to be using white, and these are going to be your 5 inches by 2.5 by 5 inches cuts. So, and then obviously I'm going to be using some fabric here as well to actually cut for my 2.5. Now if you've got some jelly roll scraps, you can more than use that. If you've got some jelly roll collection that you want to use, by all means chuck that in there. It's really summery, beautiful. As you can tell, my fabrics here are very much high color contrast, I should say, hence the reason why I'm actually going for a solid white. Now I could have choose cream, but I think it will sort of be lost within the presence of all these strong colors within the quilt here. So these are my colors that I'm actually going to be using. This one's a very beautiful one. I actually got these on sale because all of my scraps had finished, so I just bought some yardage, literally that's what's on sale, and so far so good. They're really beautiful. I do love this one actually. So those are the fabrics I'm going to be cutting into strips. So I'm going to cut the strips. I'm not going to show you how I cut the strips because I think everyone knows how to cut from salvage to salvage, and the reason for salvage to salvage is so that we do not cut on that stretchy grain. We don't want to cut on that stretchy grain because obviously our quilt is going to be all bendy and wobbly. Okay, we don't want that. We want, once we put on the right grain, a bug just flew into the camera. This is why I don't like being outside sometimes. They just don't leave you alone. All right. So cut on the right grain, salvage to first salvage. Make sure you start with a nice clean edge. Okay. So let me take you through the strips, and I'm going to show you the layout. It's quite easy. It's a fun quilt that we're making. So I hope you join me in making it. So get your 2.5s together and let's get started. Okay guys, so these are my strips that I've cut here. I have quite a few number of colors to pull from, and I'm just going to stack them like that. Now what you can do is just simply stack them all together, so that way you can pull any one, or you can stack them in a bunch as I'm doing here. Some of them are already mixed in, if I have to be completely honest, because when I was cutting I really wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So there's no great formality. The most important thing here is to not to simply put all of the sticks together, and I'm going to refer to them like that because it's a Stix quilt. Now I'm going to put my sticks to the side here, and I'm going to pull now my fabric here, the shorter ones. Now if you were to use fabric that have a background fabric, I should say, that is a lighter color that's contrasting to yours excuse me, that's contrasting to yours, but you want to use background fabric that has a print on it, that's fine too. You can use that. I can't see a problem with you doing that, really, as long as there's high contrast. And some of you may think, well, what do I mean by high contrast? High contrast just simply means that you can see the pattern within the quilt. Now you don't want to use something that blends into the pattern you're trying to make. I have seen many quilts out there on YouTube, you know, and sometimes you can't really see the pattern. You're going to look hard to find it, and that is when you don't use high contrasting fabrics. So my mom used to say to me, is it matching? Yeah, can you, is there a particular color that's standing out? And in this case, the reason why I'm using the white is because I want these fabrics here to stand out, because these are my sticks. This background fabric here is simply just going to separate the sticks. Just like when you lay in bricks, you have a particular pattern in the way in which it forms, and I want this to actually separate. So find something that's literally not too low contrast but high contrasting. All right, now the simplest way to lay this out, so get all the cuts ready, and I am going to simply put this one here, and I'm going to put my fabric at the top there. All right, and then what I'm going to do now, okay, is to turn it so my stick goes to the top and my background fabric goes to the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to continue like that. Now what I would like you to do, and the reason why I said to, you know, don't worry about matching it all together in terms of when you cut it and stacking it all together, as long as you pull different fabrics. So I wouldn't want to pull something like this for the next one. So again, the next one is going to come down and the background fabric is going to go to the top. All right, so I wouldn't want to have these two colors together. I think it's a little bit clashy, so I would want to add something else in there. So for example, I could now pull my green, and what you can do is just simply alternate all of the colors, or just have the colors lay out in front of you in a separate pile and pull from there. That's my neighbor scraping her barbecue. You think she would have chosen another time to do that, but nevertheless, and she can see me recording too. Am I moaning? Yes, I am. Do I have a right to? No, I'm not, because I'm outside. Anyway, so let's move on. So to sew this now, all we simply need to do is to sew front sides together. All right, so sew front sides together, and then that way your sewing gets done very quickly. Now You can chain piece this, so you can chain piece from this way, obviously, because you're sewing these together. But what I'm going to do is sew them together in two. So I am going to lay the whole thing out, okay, and in that way, and when I say sew them together in two, I'm going to sew all of these together. So I'm going to get my long stick together. All right, so when I say my long stick, I'm going to sew these two together, all of them, lay them all out, sew the rows together like so. Once I've done that, then I'll come back and show you, rather than tell you now, the easiest way to sew all of the sticks together. But this is a very modern quilt, okay, hence the reason why I want you to choose really vibrant colors for the quilt top. All right, so get the cuts ready, and let's get started on sewing. Now once you've sewn the background fabric to your strips, I need you to iron them, and basically we're going to iron towards the dark as per normal, because we don't want the darker fabric to be peeping through on the white. Now what I have done is to stack all of my colors accordingly as I have pressed them. So I have these ones here, those, and I'll just literally stack them like that. So that is what my collection look like at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is to put them in the pairs that I want them to be together with when I sew them. Now I've already given you a brief idea of the layout, so I'm just going to put those aside, and I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take this one here as well. Now the important thing here is that you actually just twist the camera so that you can see what I'm doing. Is that you use different colors. All right, so don't use the same colors next to each other, and just remember to keep alternating your fabrics or your pattern layout. So I would try and contrast them in a way that they are not disappearing into each other. So, and then I will add that one there, go in with another color, that one there, and then go back in with my green again and turn that one upside down. And I could follow up with this pattern here. All right, so let me just show you what that look like from a different angle. Okay, so this is what the layout looks like. So as you can see, the colors are alternating. Okay, very important in order to show the sticks effect. So this is one row that I've laid out. Now what I would do, and what you can do as well, is just take a picture so that you can see with your camera if there's anything that's sort of clashing in the layout, because this is what we're going to sew it together like. So once you're happy with it, what we're going to do now is to simply sew these two front sides together, then these two front sides together. What I am not going to do is sew the whole strip together. All right, so I'm just going to do these two together here, and then I'm going to move on to that. So once I've sewn these two, I'm going to put them back in its rightful place, come back and get these two, and so forth and so on. And the reason to do that is that the same applies when you're sewing strips together. You don't want it to sort of bend or skew and, or, you know, get out of shape in any way, shape or form. So let's try and eliminate that. But as I said, importantly, take a picture so you can see if there's too many colors. So for example, this one here, I think if I take a picture with that, I can see that it's a little bit contrasting there, a bit over contrasting, I think, and these two fabrics being together. So I could swap and put a darker fabric in between, like I have done with this one here. Okay, so those are the things I'm going to look for. Now the importance here is to just make sure that the quilt is balanced out. We just want all the colors to be in the right area so that the whole thing looks balanced and pleasing to the eye. If we don't follow through on that, then, you know, it's too late once it's all sewn together to make the changes. You can make it, but it's a point of whether or not you as an individual would be willing to unpick and change one or two sticks in between the quilt. So take a picture, and that way you can eliminate that hassle. All right, so we're going to move on now to sewing them front sides together. And what I wanted to point out is that I think I said already, but about ironing them, making sure you've ironed towards the darker fabric. Very important, especially because I am using a white background. Okay, so let's get to stitching, and then we will move on from there. Alrighty then, so now I have picked them up and I've sewn them all together, a chain pieced. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is to simply, as I've started here already, is to take them out or cut them apart in the order of which I actually sewed them. So as I take the chain apart, I'm going to now lay it down, making sure it's in the right orientation, and I'm going to flatten it out or finger press. Now what I'm going to do once I've done all of this now is to then sew it together, so front sides together. But before I do that, I'm going to stack them. So I'm going to stack from this way, so then I know this is the area I'm starting on this side. So it's going to be fold over, so yeah, and then open up, fold over on this side, so, and then I'll just move this down a bit, so on that side, so that way it just stays in the right order that you already laid them out, because you don't want to have to now move it again. You're just giving yourself double trouble. All right, so I'm going to lay it all out, and I'm going to show you the first row once I've stitched it and iron it out together. Alright guys, so I have now just basted the quilt. I must admit it is one of the most easiest process, basting the quilt outdoor. And what I actually did was also to iron it so that it adhered very quickly. But one of the easiest process. So I reckon if you can do it outside, go right ahead and do it. So very, very simplistic, basting outside. Okay, next step, quilting now. It's looking good, absolutely beautiful colors. I'm loving the Stix quilt. Okay, so I just wanted to jump in and let you know, before I show you the quilt, how beautiful it has turned out. I am so proud of it. Now, I know I've made a ton of quilts, you know, but this one, sometimes they just surprise me. Quilting never ceased to amaze me. It really doesn't. It just the mere fact of cutting fabric up and sewing it back together and turning it into something different, it is such a beautiful aspect about it. Absolutely gorgeous. Now when I tell you that I made this very, very quick, within a few days, and it was only a few days because I stopped and I take a break and I chilled out, had a cup of tea, watched TV, you know, went outside and just did relaxing. But you can really get this done in one day. I tell you no lie, it's such easy peasy piecing, and I know I say that all the time, but this one really, really is, and all of them really are. When I tell you that they're really short quilting process, they really are. It's beginner friendly and it's such a gorgeous quilt. I urge you to make this one. If you haven't made any quilt for a while and you just watch the videos, try this one. You won't be disappointed. Now, had I been at my in my studio, my sewing room, I would have made a king size because I love it so much. So let me take you through now and show you how I made it, or I should say the final product, because I'm so excited about it. Anyway guys, it's a really beautiful quilt, you know. Let's go have a look. Okay, now this quilt measures 43 to 45 inches squared. It is so gorgeous. As you know, it's a Stix quilt. You can use jelly rolls for this, you can use yardage, you can use strips that you have in your stash. It is literally a stash buster, this quilt. The color coordination has come, and I use that word coordination because that is what contrasting is, coordinating the colors. Using the white background fabric to bring it all together has worked. And remember, you can use gray, you can use green, you can use whatever solid tone you have to really bring it together. And you can even go with cream. Definitely, if you've got you know, really colorful, vibrant, summery colors like I have used here, definitely play around with it. I used a Stix, no, not Stix, sorry, a wood grain quilting for this one. And I must admit, this week I am very pleased with using the cotton batting because it has really given me some definitely textures on there, and I can see the quilting a lot more clearly, maybe because I actually quilted a little bit more dense this time. On the borders, I just did one border in fact, and I did the actual wishbone there. Love the binding. The binding just give it a real pop of color. It is literally on my bed. It's really too sunny outside, lots of shadows, so I couldn't really get a good lighting for you. And I thought on the bed, because there's a spotlight or an open ceiling from the caravans, you can actually get really lovely lighting on it. So very beautiful guys. I'm very excited about it. I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. It could be suitable for putting on the kitchen table, you know, as a table mat, or you know, on your picnic table. You can use this to sit on the floor and have a picnic with. It's such a beautiful quilt. I must admit though, I'm very pleased with the back also. Very summery, very summery. I've used a lot of the background in there as well, just to tie the whole thing together. Also, I did a piece border and again added some of the fabrics that's for the Stix that's on the quilt. Very lovely, very, very lovely guys. It has turned out really beautifully. Everything has come together very nicely. So all I can say, this is all I have for you this week. Do make the quilt. Any questions, by all means, you know, let me know. Any comments, by all means, let me know. Tell me what you think of the quilt, you know, and is there something you can actually do? Do you think you can actually make this in a day? Because I tell you, you can. I'm telling you right now, you can. You can make this in a day. It's a beautiful quilt. I will definitely make this again. I will do this in a much larger size because I would love to put it on my bed. You know, beautiful, beautiful quilt. Absolutely gorgeous. Really, really lovely. Loving the back also. Cannot hate that. It's such a summery, beautiful pattern on the back there. Very, very lovely. Alright guys, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Definitely give me a thumbs up for this one. Just loving the wood grain effect quilting. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, and I've chosen that just because of the fact that it's a Stix quilt, you know guys. So again, thanks for watching. See you soon. Drop me a comment, give me a thumbs up. Love you all so much. Thanks for sticking out with me, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now guys, and as I usually say, happy quilting.